All right, so today we're diving into this powerful, invisible force that's shaping the entire natural world. And here's the twist. It's not really about the animals predators kill. It's about the fear they leave behind.
So take a look at this deer, right? You see it? Ears twitching, eyes constantly scanning. It's totally on high alert. But there's nothing there, no predator in sight. So what's going on? Why is it so tense? Well, this constant vigilance, it's not just paranoia. It's actually a survival strategy that tells us something really deep about how nature works. Okay, so what is this invisible force we're talking about? Let's put a name to it and really understand what's driving that deer's behavior.
This is the key right here. It's not just the kill that matters. Predators don't have to kill something to change an ecosystem. Just the threat of the kill, that feeling that a predator might be just around the corner, that's enough to change everything. We're talking about how animals behave, where they decide to go, even what they'll risk eating.
And yep, there's a name for this. It's called the landscape of fear. You can think of it like a mental map that every prey animal has in its head. It's a map of safe zones and danger zones. And that invisible geography, it pretty much dictates their every move.
Now, this idea didn't just pop up out of nowhere. The groundwork for it was actually laid decades ago. But the term itself, landscape of fear, really took off in the 1990s. And ever since, it's become this essential tool for scientists to understand how ecosystems really work.
Okay, so theory is one thing, but what does this look like in the real world? To really see the power of this concept in action, we've got to go to Yellowstone National Park. It's probably the most famous real-world ecological experiment of our time.
So here's the setup. Back in the 90s, after being gone for about 70 years, wolves, the park's original top predator, were brought back. And this one decision, wow, it set off a chain reaction that I don't think anyone saw coming.
And the change was just dramatic. I mean, before the wolves, the elk population was huge. They just hang out in the open, especially down in the river valleys, and they ate everything down to the nub. The landscape was getting stripped bare. But then the wolves came back. And suddenly, the elk got nervous. They started avoiding those risky open areas. And guess what? For the first time in decades, the willows and aspens along the riverbanks actually started to grow back.
But wait, the story gets even better. It doesn't just stop with the elk in the trees. The return of that fear, it set off this unbelievable chain reaction that literally changed Yellowstone from the ground up.
So by changing how the elk acted, the wolves actually changed the physical geography of Yellowstone. This whole ripple effect it's a perfect example of how interconnected everything in nature really is.
And of course, there's a cool scientific name for this. It's called a trophic cascade. It's basically what happens when you make a change at the very top of the food chain, and the effects just cascade all the way down to the bottom, changing everything as they go. Okay, let's walk through this step by step because it's amazing. Step 1, wolves bring back fear. Simple enough. Step 2, the elk react. They stop hanging out in those dangerous valleys. Step 3, the plants recover. Willows and aspens start to thrive along the rivers again. Now here's where it gets really wild. Step 4, with more trees, the beavers come back. They use the wood to build dams. And then step 5, the beaver dams create ponds and wetlands, brand new habitats that bring in songbirds, amphibians, fish, you name it. The wolves didn't even have to do anything directly. Just by bringing back fear, they literally re-engineered the entire ecosystem. So this isn't just some cool story about wolves and elk in a national park. No. The exact same principles apply to the most dominant predator on the planet, which, is us. And that forces us to ask a pretty tough question, right? Do we humans cast that same kind of shadow? Are we creating our own landscape of fear? And the answer from the research is a big resounding yes. Absolutely. Our presence alone, just our sounds, our smells, the trails we walk on, that can change animal behavior just as dramatically as a wolf pack moving in.
I mean, just think about it. Animals will go out of their way to avoid areas with a lot of logging or even just busy hiking trails, even if the habitat there is otherwise perfect for them. Our cities and suburbs, they push wildlife into these tiny little pockets. And get this, studies even show that the scent we leave behind on the breeze is enough to make them change their behavior. So whether we mean to or not, we are a source of fear.
Yeah, and this quote from a really big study just hits the nail on the head. Our influence, it's not small, it's not isolated. It impacts the entire food web, from huge predators like mountain lions
all the way down to tiny mice. We're creating a global landscape of fear.
Okay, so why does any of this matter? Why is this so important to understand? Well, because it completely changes how we need to think about conservation and protecting the natural world.
This whole landscape of fear idea isn't just some abstract theory for scientists to debate. It's become a really practical tool, something that's absolutely essential for effective, modern conservation.
So, what does that look like on the ground? Well, instead of just drawing a line on a map and calling it a protected area, conservationists can now design wildlife corridors that animals will actually use because they feel safe moving through them. We can manage things like tourism to shrink our fear footprint. The whole goal starts to shift. It's not just about saving a species anymore, it's about restoring the natural behaviors that make an ecosystem strong and resilient.
And that really brings us to the main takeaway here. A healthy ecosystem isn't just a checklist of species and how many of them there are. It's a living, breathing system, and it's driven by this complex dance of behavior, of caution and risk. Which brings us back to that kind of strange-sounding idea. It's the whole point of the Yellowstone story. By bringing back a natural element of fear, we actually help restore a natural state of balance.
So that leaves us with one final, really big question to think about. We're the planet's ultimate top predator, right? So now that we know all this, what kind of landscape of fear are we choosing to create?